Since Japan discharged nuclear wastewater into the ocean in August 2023, contaminated water has been discharged into the ocean 5 times so far, posing a huge threat to global seafood safety. As the world's largest consumer of aquatic products, China consumes 62 million tons of aquatic products every year, and is undoubtedly one of the main victims of this nuclear wastewater discharge plan. But faced with this crisis, China has chosen an unconventional solution: farming seafood in the remote Taklimakan Desert. It sounds like a plot from a science fiction novel, but it is indeed true. In this arid desert, China has successfully farmed seafood such as fish, shrimp, and crabs, covering a huge area of more than 8,000 acres. These seafood not only survive the extreme environment of the desert, but also when the peak season comes, the daily catch can reach an astonishing 1,500 kilograms, and the annual income has exceeded $10 million. In order to obtain this technology, Saudi Arabia visited China in March and June this year. So how does China farm seafood in the desert? Will China cooperate with Saudi Arabia? The Taklimakan Desert is located in the core area of the Darim Basin in Xinjiang, China. This desert stretches about 1,000 kilometers from east to west and about 400 kilometers from north to south, with a total area of 330,000 square kilometers. It is not only the largest desert in China, but also the 10th largest desert in the world. Behind the vastness of the Taklimakan Desert, there is a harsh natural environment. It is a warm temperate arid desert with extremely hot summers, with temperatures as high as 50 degrees Celsius and a temperature difference of more than 30 degrees Celsius between day and night. Under such high temperatures, every grain of sand in the desert seems to be scorched by a raging fire, emitting rolling heat waves. What is more serious is that the Taklimakan Desert is affected by the cross-influence of the two prevailing wind directions in northwest China and north and south, and mobile sand dunes occupy more than 80% of the total area of the desert. When the surface sand warms up, updrafts form, especially the northeast wind is particularly strong. At this time, strong winds and dust storms sweep in, sweeping sand and dust into the sky, and the dust can even reach 3,962 meters above sea level. Winds from other directions will also blow dust fog into the air, making the Taklimakan Desert almost shrouded in dust fog all year round, like a forgotten land of death. But in this desert, China has successfully developed a seafood farming project. How did this happen? In 2022, China launched a plan to conquer the desert. At first, China's strategy was to introduce water resources into the desert, hoping that plants would take root and sprout on this land through the nourishment of water. To this end, China launched an annual ecological water transfer project to introduce more than 1 billion tons of water resources to the Taklimakan Desert every year. After 5 years of hard work, more than 200 small lakes have formed in the desert, like the eyes of the desert, flashing the light of hope. Although the appearance of lakes has brought a glimmer of life to the desert, people have found that only a few places around the lakes can breed sporadic small trees, and the goal of turning the desert into an oasis seems out of reach. Chinese scientists have realized that relying solely on water resources is not enough to completely change the desert environment. After repeated trials and explorations, scientists have proposed a new greening principle. Desertification control requires not only water sources, but also the establishment of a complete ecosystem. In this system, water resources must work together with plants, soil, and organisms to create a vibrant environment. Based on this principle, Chinese scientists have begun to try to breed crabs, shrimps, and other aquatic products in the desert, hoping to drive economic benefits and promote greening in this way. But challenges also come with it. The water resources in the Taklimakan Desert are rich in salt and minerals, which gradually turns the original fresh water into salt water. This saltwater environment is not suitable for the survival of freshwater organisms such as crabs. Faced with this problem, Chinese scientists did not back down. They studied the characteristics of saline water in depth, and by adding trace elements and probiotics, they formulated artificial seawater suitable for seafood growth. After more than 300 rounds of experiments, China finally chose blue crabs as experimental subjects. It is understood that this crab is known for its amazing drought resistance. Even when the water source is exhausted, it can enter a dormant state, reduce water consumption, and wait for the recovery of the water source. It is this unique survival ability that has enabled these blue crabs to not only survive successfully in this desert a few years later, but also show excellent fertility and vitality. In addition, this kind of crab is delicious and nutritious, and is very popular in the market. These desert blue crabs also have certain medicinal value and have become a new favorite of health food. What is even more surprising is that the seafood farming project in the Taklimakan Desert has attracted many tourists to come and see this unique ecological farming landscape. Every year, this project brings $5 million in economic income to the local area. In order to accelerate the process of desert greening, the Chinese government actively encourages surrounding residents and enterprises to participate in seafood farming activities in the desert. As of 2020, the farming area in the area has expanded to 8,000 acres, and an industrial chain incubator park dedicated to saline alkali land aquaculture has been established. This park is not only a center for aquaculture, but also a test site for saline alkali land management and utilization technology. Here, a variety of seafood products such as shrimps, fish, clams, razor clams and blue crabs are successfully farmed, enriching the local ecological chain and promoting the recovery of biodiversity in the entire region. With the introduction of water resources and the gradual improvement of the ecological environment, the plants that were originally dormant in the desert have gradually awakened. These plants not only provide rich ecological support for the development of the aquatic industry, but also further improve the ecological environment of the desert. By 2022, these seafood products cultivated in the desert have successfully entered the market, and have won high recognition from consumers for their high quality away from marine pollution and nuclear radiation. Today, the daily catch of seafood here is between 500 and 600 kilograms, and as high as 1,500 kilograms during the peak season. In order to further promote the development of the desert seafood industry, in April 2024, the Taklimakan Desert successfully released a large number of seafood seedlings on its edge. These include 75 million flower clams, 2.8 million razor clams and 25,000 three-door mud crabs. At present, more than 95,000 mu of desert land has been proven to be suitable for saline alkali water aquaculture. The implementation of this project not only promotes the recycling and conservation of water resources, but also significantly reduces the loss and pollution of water resources, making important contributions to improving the ecological environment of the desert and enhancing the stability and sustainability of the ecosystem. As we all know, Saudi Arabia is a country located in the desert, and about 90% of its land area is desert. If Saudi Arabia can successfully introduce and apply this technology, its potential annual benefits will reach billions of dollars, which will not only greatly promote Saudi Arabia's economic development, but also set a new benchmark for global desert governance and ecological aquaculture. To this end, in March and June of this year, the Saudi delegation visited China twice, and the two sides had in-depth exchanges and discussions on desert governance and ecological aquaculture technology. So, will China hand over this technology to Saudi Arabia? Since last year, the discharge of nuclear wastewater in Japan has caused widespread concern about the marine ecology, resulting in a general decline in public trust in seafood, and many countries are worried that their residents are malnourished due to the lack of aquatic products. If Saudi Arabia can adopt similar ecological aquaculture measures, they are expected to produce millions of tons of aquatic products every year. Considering that Saudi Arabia not only joined China's Belt and Road Initiative in 2016, but also established an alliance between the two countries. This means that if China hands over the technology to Saudi Arabia, it will not only not worry about technology leakage, but also cooperate with Saudi Arabia to introduce these technologies into the domestic market to meet the needs of Chinese residents for high-quality aquatic products. This video ends here. Do you think China will hand over the technology to Saudi Arabia? Feel free to leave a message in the comments section below and I will discuss it with you.